Welcome, everybody. Today's episode is about SaaS isn't slowing down, it's dying. I was due to jump on with Dave Elkington and talk about a viral post he had on LinkedIn that just went deep on this idea that AI isn't just slowing down, it's getting hollowed out as growth rates have fallen off a cliff. Unfortunately, I got sick. Steve Air jumped in, but the episode was so good, I wanted you to hear it. So I'm going to let Dave and Steve jump in and talk about why SaaS isn't slowing down, it's dying.
Welcome. I appreciate everybody joining us today. I am not Gabe. I know Gabe was promised. I'm Steve. I'm stepping in a little bit today. Gabe had to step away. He had some stuff he had to take care of. But let's be honest, when you're interviewing Dave Elkington,
come on.
I'm feeling
I'm just going to blush. Yeah, now I'm blushing. But look, let's be honest. Gabe, he tries to take the all of the limelight. So it's nice that he's not here.
There we go. We'll let the data and the story take the limelight a little bit more.
There we go. Yeah, let's do it.
We didn't want to delay this. Dave, you had a post on LinkedIn earlier this week. It kind of blew up. I think it was on a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Or
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
When was the last time a LinkedIn post on a Sunday blew up like this? Had 160,000 views, thousands of comments, multiple reposts. And what's interesting is not just the number of comments. You hit a nerve. Like there was a serious trigger in looking at some of those comments there. So kind of want to dive into it, but not just the data of the post, but like what's driving and what hit the nerve. So I don't know if you want to kind of go over it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been a theme I've been posting about, honestly, off and on for the last, by the way, my internet's a little bit shaky. I'm up in the mountains right now. So if just fill in for me if I go silent for a minute. But look, this is a topic around this what's happening in the SaaS industry versus the AI industry. And this contrast between the two is really fascinating. And so I did a post basically that looked at SaaS valuations as they've declined. And there was I'm going to pull it up, but not quite yet, but the Aventis Advisors. And I just was randomly searching the web. I do a lot of research as I do my LinkedIn posts. So this study was really fascinating, where it really talked about this precipitous decline of growth rates in the SaaS market. And I'm like, okay, what's behind this? And it really is, if you look at the growth rates over the last 15 years, it goes from 36% down to 12%. And that's crazy, right? The other thing that I didn't put in the post was, as of I think it's Q2 of this year, there was 3 public SaaS companies that were Rule of 40 SaaS companies. So let me explain what Rule of 40 is. I mean, by the way, there's crazy stuff happening. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So
yeah.
Rule of 40 is you basically take the sum of your growth rate and your profitability. And if the sum of those two together is over 40, you're considered a healthy and one of, a top tier SaaS company. And again, 3 out of all of the SaaS here, let's share my screen. I'm going to share my screen here, because it just shows what's happened, like this shift that's happening, and frankly, undermining this traditional SaaS market. I guess it's more than 3 as I look at this right now. Can you guys see this? Let me know
right now. Yep.
Okay. So look at this. These are the companies. There's a small group of companies that are actually outside this Rule of 40. And 10 years ago, everybody did. And it wasn't through profitability. It was largely through their growth rates. So if we kind of flip back to this post, what we're really talking about in this post is that basically it's the decline of the growth rate of SaaS. So there's 6 interesting key points. I think it's probably worth looking at. So again, where do you want to go with this, Steve? We can go anywhere.
Let's just go. Let's start at the points. Let's go through them, because I think they are really interesting, because it's not just the data. It's the points kind of, this is what it means. And the first one, you said that workflows.
That's right. So SaaS, and look, I'm going to wander around here a little bit, because I think the reason what we promised people today was we're going to kind of give the data or the meaning behind these points. So really what's happening, and I'm going to do a big picture thing. So if you look behind the last 15, 20 years of SaaS came in and disrupted the software of the 90s. So think kind of Siebel Systems and Oracle. And it was very super like very, very effective, but very expensive, very difficult to deploy. I mean, the deployments wouldn't just take months, it often take years. Well, what SaaS did in the early 2000s, obviously led by Salesforce.com, it allowed everybody, it created ubiquity and the ability to deploy CRM systems, ERP systems. And they started largely as just a database, right? So if you think like it's a contact and customer database, and if you weren't, by the way, using like, Oracle or SaaS or like SA or companies like that, or SAP, excuse me, you would be in like the very, very small, like gold mine for the old dudes on on the show right now. And so there was nowhere in the middle. SaaS brought a ubiquitously available enterprise grade customer management system. And it really, growth rates of those companies were crazy, right? You'd see 100% growth rates over like 7 years. I think Omniture was one of those early companies that got bought by Adobe. Their growth rate was over 100% for 7 straight years. Like, and as they went into the public offering, Salesforce similar. But what's happened is in order to drive those continued growth rates, what they did is they had this basic database, like it's a web database. They added automation tools on top of it in order to drive, more capability for their clients, but it also allowed them to do lots of upsells. So if you think about Salesforce, initially it was just a sales CRM, kind of a web, think about it this way, like a web-based, gold mine or
Act on, Siebel, any of the old systems. Yeah,
that's right. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. And then they started adding like marketing automation onto it, and they added sales automation onto it, and they started adding call center and support and trouble tickets. And I mean, they bought
cash, the whole,
all of this stuff. And those add-on capabilities where they were driving productivity and efficiency, those are the workflows that they were selling basically. The problem is they basically sold that market out. So your growth rate is going to naturally go from 30% at scale down to this predicted 11%, just because there was nothing else to sell. It's not, and in my post, again, it is a little provocative, where I basically am saying SaaS isn't slowing down, it's being cannibalized and eaten alive. The first phase of what's happening is actually that it's just that there was no more area to grow. So it created this vacuum for AI to come in and actually begin to cannibalize this space of growth. So if you juxtapose current growth rates, 12, 13%, to what you're hearing, and let me give an anecdote. This is, I would say, I won't share where I got this information, but Cursor, the web dev kind of AI web IDE, they just raised $2.3 billion at a $29 billion valuation. And I was just like, how on earth does that make any sense? Like, that's crazy. So I talked to a friend who is an early investor in Cursor, and he said, let me tell you a little bit of the story behind what's happening. And again, these numbers aren't going to be exactly right, but pretty dang close. So in April, they were at a $200 million revenue, annualized revenue, ARR number. By July, they went from 200 to 500 million. By October, they went from up to $1 billion run rate, basically. So they went from 200 to $1 billion in 6 months. So what this guy told me is, he said, look, this valuation is cheap. If they continue at this rate, they could be anywhere from 6 to 10 billion in revenue next year. And he said a $29 billion valuation is a steal. Average AI multiples, investment multiples right now are 45 times forward revenue. And the high watermark that we're hearing is around 100 times forward revenue. So it's not like my current run rate, like my current annualized run rate. It's what it's going to be basically 12 months from now. So, I mean, that sounds crazy, but the growth rates are no longer in SaaS. They're in these AI startups and what they're doing. So if you kind of look at that first bullet point in the post, look, SaaS it never delivered the outcomes we wanted it to, right? It was like, oh, we're going to create some automation, but what it really did is created this whole overhead of what was needed in an organization, right? So like you have to have like Salesforce certified folks that come in, and you have to, and it didn't.
Oh, a team of Salesforce. Yeah,
that's right.
Administrators and Salesforce devs, and the whole, and it didn't matter what the solution was. Great, we're going to go do this one. Now you need a team to manage that one as well.
So exactly. AI has the ability to drive actual outcomes. I mean, at Signals, we're building fully autonomous sales reps, support reps, recruiters, project managers. But like you look at what Cursor is doing to dev teams, it's all across the market. So that's really the first bullet point is SaaS never really delivered outcomes. It just basically delivered seats with workflows built into them, and it was just more work. So now let's hit the next one. But like the budgets and the investors are now flowing out of SaaS, and they're now moving into basically AI related tools. And these tools are like not entirely, like we're still in this evolution, but self-managing, fairly automated, and they're driving like measurable outcomes. So like our organization is using Cursor, and our devs it's somewhere, depending on the developer, it's anywhere from 30 to 90% of their code is actually being written by AI. So what that means is a developer or a software engineer basically is now equal to anywhere from 3 to 10 of what they used to be. So like you can now just hire fewer software engineers and get the same output, or you can hire additional engineers and you get crazy output. So CFOs are pulling money dramatically out of especially that tool layer of SaaS, and then they're reinvesting that into the AI stack. So that's the bullet two.
Yeah. It seems. I was going to say it seems like we're going from like developing screwdrivers to like whole systems that like do the whole
build walls, right? Like it just builds the whole house for you. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So the third one is super interesting. It says its feature parity has killed differentiation. So at first, like Salesforce was like the sales CRM, and Zendesk was the support CRM, and HubSpot was the marketing CRM. But because they were trying to chase those growth rates, they all just added everything, right? So it's like HubSpot is full stack, Zendesk full stack, Salesforce, like they're all the same thing. So what that really means is there is no differentiation. The entire category, CRM, CX, marketing automation, it's the same. And so the moats are now gone. So really moving outside of SaaS, like there's just not a lot of stickiness. So that like all of these trends are happening all at the same time. And so really, and by the way, the fourth point here is we kind of hit it, but basically enterprise hit like peak SaaS several years ago. And so that as of now, companies are largely cutting a lot of, especially that you still, by the way, I think I say it somewhere, you still have to have a CRM. So I'm not suggesting the SaaS industry or the CRM is gone, but what it's turning into is just an online database. And then we're peeling away all of those add-ons that are so expensive. And then we're replacing them with more of these AI capabilities. So
I know I was going to say it's fascinating how you have this expansion, and then you look at these different platforms that you mentioned, and we're really talking about they all do the same thing, but it's like, do you like Coke or do you like Pepsi? It's still a cola. It's got plenty of caffeine, but which version, what color logos do you like better? And that's like the difference.
And I think that's what's happened in SaaS. So you see, like, if you look at like HubSpot's market cap over the last like year to date, it's down 60%. They've lost 60% of their value. Salesforce is just under 30%, all in the same place. And again, none of them want to say it, but basically they're losing customers. Like that growth rate basically means they're losing market share. And it's not disappearing. It is a transfer of value. So it's moving out of this traditional CRM. Again, that base database layer, we still need that. And what it's turning into is the human interface, whereas the APIs are how the AI is interacting with it. And by the way, there's all kinds of like unnatural behavior. So I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, Salesforce, under the guise, again, this is my opinion, somebody at Salesforce is going to be like, that guy is a liar. Salesforce limited the Slack API integration capability. So it's only one at a time. So the bulk Slack data access is now gone. And you can see exactly what they're doing is they're trying to create a moat away from individual AI companies to be able to consume that information, which is really, I think, number 6, where we're saying all the action is in the compute and the data and the agents and not in this just kind of storage layer. So like, think about what Salesforce did. They basically said, we're going to put a wall. We're not going to give you bulk access to your own data because we want to build our own AI tools in order to maintain our customer base and maintain some level of customer retention. And it's like, that's not an we're seeing all of these kind of, the API becomes, because the data is so valuable, the API is becoming like really the gatekeeper to get access to all of that data. So look, go ahead.
I was going to say, it reminds me of some of the tech stuff that you saw like in the 90s and things, between like the PC world, which was, hey, bolt on whatever you want here, make this however you want it. And the Apple world at the time, which was, nope, it's got to be exactly what Apple wants you to have and what it wants you to do. We might have lost Dave here, but yeah, it's fascinating to see how this is changing overall. I think to that 6th point that I think Dave was going to talk about, we're sitting there looking at, moving down the tech stack. Dave, are you back?
I'm back. Yeah, I warned you.
Okay.
My Wi-Fi is sketchy.
Perfect. I was talking about the 6th point, where how it's moving down the stack, and what you're going to make there.
If you look at what's happening in the market, it's not that, again, SaaS will have a life. And the other thing you have to also consider is these, like Salesforce.com, their customers they own the large enterprise. Zendesk in their space, they own large enterprise. What that means is they have multi-year contracts, 3-year, 5-year, in some cases 10-year contracts with their clients. And so the question is Salesforce.com going to be gone? Of course not. Like, there's just too much energy and momentum built into those contracts. And that's going to buy them time to basically revisit the way they think about those tools that are built on top of that CRM or that data layer. So but the transition, and one of the points I make in the post, there's, again, I think over 1,000, 1,200 comments. There's a lot of people who are saying, well, is it going to go away, or what's happening to that layer above? Salesforce, we saw that at Dreamforce this year. None of these companies are going to go away, at least not on purpose. So they're buying companies very aggressively. So they're buying AI specialized companies. They're building as fast as they can, and they're going to use those enterprise contracts, that 3 to 5 year contracts, in order to buy the time to bring that productivity back. So my sense is, like, Mark Benioff's a brilliant dude. Like, I don't question that they won't be like, I'll be shocked if they don't make that pivot. But as of right now, losing 30+%, or in the HubSpot case, nearly 60% in 9 months, you can't ignore that. And there is some chance. You look at some of the companies that the SaaS industry disrupted, like IBM, Oracle, some of those, you look at IBM, they've not been able to make that pivot. Oracle, interestingly, just did make the pivot, because what they did is they went and bought the compute. So they bought thousands. I think they committed, I can't remember, it's either 200 billion or 400 billion of NVIDIA chips, and they're building data centers out. So that's an example of a legacy company who saw the opportunity, and they've invested, and their market cap is, and the value they're bringing clients has skyrocketed. Whereas someone like IBM is in the middle of that transition, scrambling to see if it can remake itself in the AI world. So really, the traditional SaaS is dead. I think there's no doubt about it. But the question is, can these legacy dinosaurs pivot and adapt to the new world? And that's the show. We're kind of like in Lord of the Rings, when, I think I've said this in a previous podcast, when they're all traveling over the mountains, and there's these giant there's stone giants that are fighting. We're kind of like the hobbits walking over the mountain, and we're looking at Salesforce and Oracle and HubSpot and NVIDIA and OpenAI fighting with each other. And we're just like watching this crazy show of hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars being thrown around. And then you see little sneaky companies like Cursor or Lovable that kind of pop up, and they're actually disrupting. So, and we'll finish on this. I don't want to take too long, but the most interesting thing that I've seen go ahead.
I lost your audio for a second.
Yep.
I don't know if yeah.
All right, it's my Wi-Fi. So one of the most interesting things that I think has happened is Google's Gemini 3 release, like Monday or Tuesday of this week. Here's what's in that release. It's very good. It's the Gemini 3 new model. It's a stepwise model. It's really, like, we've tested it. It's very good. But that's not interesting. It's because models are becoming really, it's just going to be a race to the bottom. What's interesting is they released a whole series of integrations into the entire Google ecosystem. So if you look at the Mag 7, which are the top 7 largest public companies in the world, Google in February was, I think, in last place in terms of growth rate, February or March or April. They were struggling, and they dumped the gas on. And what they did is they first built the models. And again, this, I'm telling you guys, some of you are listening to Elkington's nuts, not wrong, but this is super interesting. Google was in last place. They are now in first place in terms of growth rate and market cap this year. And the way they did that is they built the models. So like the Gemini, the Gemini series of systems. And then and they're very, very good. Like Gemini 3 is the best from what we can tell so far, is the best model out in the market. Now, that's for 20 minutes. I mean, I think Elon Musk said Grok 4.1 is now better, and maybe it is. But the interesting thing is they're leveraging the entire Google suite, everything they built, search, Gmail, chat, like everything. And they've integrated the Gemini 3 capability inside of that. And the most interesting one was the new IDE called Anti-Gravity, which is their IDE for development. What that is they're directly competing with Cursor. So they see Cursor in this skyrocket to try and capture this whole like development space. I mean, again, going from 200 million to $1 billion, and if they go from $1 billion to 10 billion, like that's interesting. That's at scale that would hurt Google or would hurt Microsoft, like the two major, we'll call them development, software development firms. This was a move to go recapture that space and compete with the Lovables and to compete with the Cursors and capture that revenue. And so far we tested Anti-Gravity, and this thing, albeit buggy, like it's buggy. Like it's free right now. It is a little buggy, but it is, when it works, it's really, really good. Like it is by far better than Cursor. It is by far better than Google or Microsoft's Copilot. So these are the things we're watching, that these traditional SaaS companies like, all of these guys, if they don't adapt and pivot, just like, because Google was in a really risky place where, if you remember in the spring, everyone's like, OpenAI is now the new search engine and Google's dead. Like people are saying Google, I was probably even saying Google was dying. Like, be careful what you listen.
Anything anymore.
That's right. Well, now Google is the highest growth rate company of the Mag 7 in the world. They've just delivered a product that, again, they've got to work out the bugs in this thing, but it is unbelievably good. It's not just a very sophisticated autocomplete. This thing is like writing code. It's an agent. It's an AI agent fully built in. So it's building things. It's interacting with you. It's deploying it in a browser. It's testing it. It's using Chrome. Again, it's using all of Google's assets, and it's basically your partner and even sometimes your replacement in coding. So these are the things that we need to see, like a Salesforce.com or a HubSpot adapt. And again, if you're sitting here and you're like, as a sales leader, what do I do? My advice to everybody is test things. I'll finish on this. Go try, who is this? It's Perplexity's Comet. Like, it's a AI browser that is unbelievable. Go spend the $20 a month, and it basically is a browser that is an agent. So you can tell it what to do. You can say, go do this, go write this, go respond to these forms. So like in LinkedIn, you can basically, in the browser, you can say, hey, go read my post and go look at people's comments, and you can reply to comments with this. I'm not saying I did that, but you can actually have it go do the work for you. Like whether like my CFO yesterday shared with me, because I've asked a bunch of my team to go test this thing. It's, again, Comet by Perplexity. I'm like, go test this. So he went into our accounting system and he said, okay, go look at our ledger, go look at everything we've spent and tell me give me an analysis of how well we're using this. And it came back and it's like, oh, first off, you've misallocated a bunch of these expenses into the wrong category. You need to go do this. And it gave him a whole strategy breakdown. He was like, I could have just told him to fix it, but he's like, man, I was not quite comfortable with that. But go, again, if you're watching this and you've stayed, I think we're 27 minutes into this, is a little bit longer. Go test Cursor or go test Comet and other things. Like, I would be running tests with you and your team every day. Spend the 20, because most AI tools are between 20 and $50. I would be testing, and they're all month to month. Test like crazy. So that's it.
I had Atlas. I tried Atlas, the OpenAI's browser. I had it interact with one of our cloud employees, but I needed to test it in Castilian Spanish. I said, I want you to evaluate how well this cloud employee interacts in that language. I don't speak a word of Spanish. Well, a couple words of Spanish, enough to order food. But like, it came back, this is the valuation. This is not the valuation. This is the score I'm giving it in terms of Castilian Spanish versus Latin Spanish. And it was
It's on point. It's on point.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. If you're sitting here watching this, test the small tools. The large legacy SaaS companies generally aren't moving fast enough. And so I would be trying lots of little things. So anyways, that's it for today. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking around for the 28 minutes. I try to commit this to be no more than about 20 minutes, but it was this an interesting, super interesting topic.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Gabe, hope you're back next time, and we'll see you guys soon.